Penguin Random House Audio presents The Life You Long For, Learning to Live from a Heart of Rest. This is the author, Christy Nockels. This audiobook features original music by Nathan Nockels and is used with permission of the artist. For the fellowship of the farm table, my beloved Nathan and our treasured children, Noah, Eliana, and Annie Rose, resting with you will always be my favorite. And for anyone who's tuckered out from trying and striving, those who feel like you're worth more when you do more and build more, and for anyone feeling small because you had to lay down what you were building, I get you. May you find true rest and the life that you are longing for. 1. His banner over me is love. Imagine if you and I were to sit down together to get acquainted, and before we begin, someone gives us specific parameters for our conversation, guidelines to help us skip the small talk and go straight to the meaningful and memorable stuff. You and I are challenged to introduce ourselves without alluding to anything we do or have done in terms of a vocation or trade. We are told to focus only on our interior lives and matters of the heart. To be honest with you from the get-go, there was a time in my life when such a challenge would have left me a bumbling mess. While I would have been elated to nix the small talk, I would have felt stripped bare in having to bypass my exterior world and abandon the crutch of my career, which I have a tendency to lean on when describing who I am. Even now, it might take a few stops and starts for me to find the right words to reveal the heart of who I am. How about you? How would you introduce yourself to me? I wonder what pieces of your story you might reveal, insights that describe the making of you. Would you be hard-pressed for words? Maybe even feel small and unseen if you had to leave out what you do? Or would you be relieved in some ways? What if after what I'm sure would be a refreshing and revealing introduction, our mediator proposed another prodding challenge? What if we were asked to describe to each other the life we truly long for? However, as we describe our wants and dreams, we cannot include any milestones, accolades, or any level of success we'd hope to achieve. How would you describe the life you long for? Would you say that your soul seems to ache with something you can't quite put your finger on? Maybe you've achieved some milestones in your exterior world, but you're left with a surprising, insatiable longing for more. Perhaps you've had to lay down your career for a season, and that has caused an unrest in your soul. I think we'd both agree that life has become more complicated than we ever imagined, as everywhere we look, we are inundated with conflicting messages. Some say we should rest, some say we should run wholeheartedly after our dreams and never look back, and some urge us to find the balance in between. We feel pulled in more directions than we even knew existed, having given the world 24-hour instant access to our psyches and our souls. Have you become weary amid all these competing pressures? Maybe you started out with a pure devotion to pursue the dreams you believe God placed in your heart, but lately it's begun to look and feel tainted. How often has our devotion turned into busyness, and our commitment turned into a craving for recognition? Everywhere we click and scroll, it seems like everyone's out there doing something big. We feel compelled to take on the pressure to keep building big things too. Then there's our longing for connection with the people in our lives. Yet family can feel like juggling endless practical responsibilities while stewarding sacred relationships. Our longing for community often becomes a struggle against lives stuffed too full to get our calendars lined up. Or maybe we've been burned in some of our dearest relationships. Wounds, both given and received, seem an inevitable result of braving the messy middle of pursuing a life of togetherness. I've experienced all of the above: the chronically overscheduled life, an imbalance between family and work, the pressure to build big things, and even the complications of trying to achieve authentic community. I lacked the ability to be present for anything in my life as I felt compelled to plow through what I know now were precious seasons just to get to the next seemingly urgent thing. As a new mom, while I was head over heels in love with my family, I mostly felt in over my head about how to truly care for them when I considered how much I also cared about the things that I felt God had placed in my heart to share with the world. Inevitably, I reached what felt like the end of my own ability and capacity, and I became thoroughly tired, bone tired, the kind of tired that robs you and me of the very things we long for in this life: peace, joy, contentment, belonging, and rest. If you and I did get to sit down to explore these questions together, I bet we'd find that we have more in common than we'd imagined. I also bet we'd bump into a bit of mystery as we got to the bottom of the funnel of who we really are. We'd have to acknowledge a certain sanctity to our lives that we sense but can't quite put our words around, as well as a longing we're still trying to define. I believe that at some point in our conversation, our belovedness would inevitably peek through our peripheral shells, and the stuff of real life would start spilling out. Beloved, I'm going to call you this quite often, so you might want to go ahead and try it on and see how it feels. This is the one big something that I know is true of you. You are God loved, which is essentially what the name beloved means. I find it beautiful that God both made us in his image and named us in his image. 1 John 4:8 says, God is love. And then all throughout Scripture, you and I are called beloved, or as the Greek says, loved by God. It's as if we're the response to who he is, and right from the start, he is the fulfillment of our greatest need, to be loved. You've likely seen this name beloved in Scripture. You might even have worn it on a t-shirt or a necklace, but maybe you've become a bit numb to its true hold on you. What if I told you that living from your belovedness changes everything? That it could unfold the true you, as well as give you an unimagined capacity to be about the things of God and the life you've longed for? If I showed you how the true you could emerge from a place of contentment and rest, would you be willing to crawl into this kind of chrysalis and yield to the process? There is such a place, and I'm grateful beyond words that God called me to it, to be able to experience the catapulting capacity of his rest. It was here that I discovered what he truly requires of me, and also what he doesn't. It was here that I was surprised to find what is most valuable to him, as well as some things that I didn't know were priceless to me. I was also blown away to discover that in finding true rest in God, I'd watch him unfold the life I was longing for in a way that I could never have dreamed or planned. Meeting God in the brokenness. At the end of 2017, I found myself wanting to hold on to every last bit of cozy that celebrating Christmas brings, but also ready to kick to the curb all the clutter that I could see piling up in my house. We had gotten quite merry with decking the halls that year, especially because we were celebrating our tour for my very first Christmas album. Yet in the after-Christmas glow, I began to crave the clean slate of remembering Jesus in the form of a fresh year and a new beginning. So I made plans, like
Sample complete. Ready to continue?